Hey guys, Buff from GameBat today, bringing another video for our tactical weapon build series. So this is part 2 of this series, really going through tactical build, realistic type weapons that you can use that are also very viable in game for Warzone and multiplayer to try and move away from the metas that we see going on. As there's very meta or specific Bruin builds. I'd say Kilo builds. Obviously, the Grau is still number one, and then you have MP5 builds. So this series is really to kind of show everyone different options of weapons to use that are very, very effective in game and are very tactical and realistic at the same time. So let's go ahead and back out. You see, first off, we're running some Milsim type operators. We have our Protectorate skin here for a Bale that I'll typically run with any type of Russian weapon, and then either D-Day or one of the actual Milsim default operators that I'll run with any type of westernized weapon. So we'll go ahead and switch back here. So we covered a bunch the other day in part 1, and we ended on the M249 SAW paratrooper variant. So today we're going to pick up with the PKP Petchen Egg. So I've done quite a few different builds on this weapon, and this is really one of my favorite weapons for machine guns in game that I feel is very, very overlooked. So I'll go over some of the attachments, obviously pros and cons, and then for the ones that we repeat for other builds, I won't repeat myself. But for this specific one, you'll see for the suppressor, I'm using a tactical suppressor for this one. This is mainly cosmetic reasons. So the pros here, sound suppression, you're going to stay off the minimap with any suppressor you use. The cons being ADS speed and aim walking steadiness. Now, to be more effective, if you don't really mind the cosmetics of this one or the aesthetic appeal of that suppressor, you want to go with the monolithic suppressor. That's going to do all the same pros and cons that the tactical suppressor does. However, it's going to give you that boost for damage at range. So go ahead and select that one, and we can keep that on. That's a very viable option along with the tactical suppressor. Now for the barrel for this one, it's very key attachment here that we've covered in a lot of the conversions is over the base one, you want this 25.9-inch heavy barrel. You can see there it has that front carrying handle for the PKP Petchen Egg from the turn of the PKM into the Petchen Egg. So this is going to give you the damage at range, bullet velocity, the cons here being the ADS speed. And this one works really, really well. Another option would obviously be the 26.9. It's going to give you a little bit extra recoil control, but this heavy barrel, I think you don't sacrifice the mobility, and it's still very, very good. Next up would be a tack laser here. So for the tack laser, what we're doing is going to go ahead and select this. It's going to assist with the ADS speed as well as the aiming stability and aim walking steadiness. The cons here being that the laser is just going to be visible to enemies. This is kind of a one that you can run when you want. Sometimes I'll take this off and just run a 200 round box magazine depending on what kind of game mode I'm playing. But for mainly solos, I'll run a tack laser on this. The optic, again, going to be very subjective to how you want to play. I really prefer the integral hybrid. Just gives me that 3.25 zoom as well as that top-mounted red dot sight. Again, this is the Leopold Hammer in real life. The only con here is the ADS speed since we're adding a little bit of extra weight there with the optic. Skip out all the other attachments, and we're going to go ahead and add the snatch grip. This really replaces the Ranger foregrip. This is going to assist with the recoil control, the vertical recoil, as well as the ADS speed, which is a good plus for this one. The cons here being the movement speed. So another option would be the Merc foregrip. But again, I really feel that the snatch foregrip here, or the snatch grip, is going to give you the ADS speed, and that's a big plus with this weapon since it is a big, bulky, heavy machine or light machine gun. So that is our PKP Petchen Egg. Obviously, we have different color camos on this one, running the woodland here, and this looks really nice. I'm using the Baddie blueprint here at base to give us a nice, cleaner looking wood finish on the carrying handle on the left-hand side, as well as a pistol grip there. So you can see that is the PKP Petchen Egg. Very nice, effective weapon that I really love using this in Warzone as well. So go ahead and back out now. And just a secondary here, this is actually really viable if you're running snipers and if you want to do something instead of a SMG, turning a assault rifle into a carbine variant is a good one. So this is the Kilo 141 of the HK433, turning it into the HK433C or carbine. So for this one, we're going to run that integral suppressor. This is going to assist with the sound suppression as well as the bullet velocity. The cons here just being the ADS speed, which we're going to make up with elsewhere. And that's going to be here with the tack laser. We're going to run the tack laser again, same pros and cons that we covered. And I believe I'm running just the default. If you were to run any other of the blueprints, it's going to give you just a black tack laser there. I like the tan colored tack laser. I like that on and off camouflage type color with the black and the tan. I think looks really aesthetic as well. So for the optics, since this is mainly a CQC build, we're just going to run a combat or a holo and EOTech here. So this is just precision sight picture, standard red dot holographic sight. The con here being the ADS speed. And then for the stock, we're going to run the FFS close quarter stock again. That's going to further assist with that ADS speed. The only con here being the aiming stability. You can go ahead and swap that out for perhaps a grip or even the ammunition, depending on if you're not running solos. I would swap that out for a 60 round magazine there. And again, that's going to double your magazine capacity of the 5.56 by 45 NATO from 30 to 60 rounds, just giving you a little bit less movement speed as well as the ADS speed. But we've already made up for that with the tack laser, so really not too many cons for that option if you were to swap this out for the 60 round magazine if you're in anything really above solos. Again, this would be a CQC build for this. And then for the underbarrel, you're going to go ahead and want the Ranger foregrip, going to assist with the recoil control, aiming stability. But really, since we're building this for CQC, you can go ahead and do either a Commando foregrip, which is going to do the recoil stabilization, that horizontal recoil, which the Kilo 141 does tend to kick horizontally to the left. So that's a good option there. You're not going to take a con for the ADS speed, but another good one here would be the Merc foregrip for the recoil control and hip fire accuracy that we really want, since we're using this more in close quarters situations. We want to be able to control that recoil given that we have the shorter build here. It's just going to help us out, keep our shots on target a little bit better. So that's the HK433C using the Kilo 141. Go ahead and back out. Now we're going to cover our AK103 build. So for this one, I'm using the Warsaw Blueprint at base. So for this one, we're running a tactical suppressor. Again, you can swap that out for a monolithic suppressor, same that we used with the PKP Petchen Egg. It's really personal preference. We're going to run the Spetsnaz Elite Barrel. That's going to assist with the damage at range and the bullet velocity. The cons here just being the ADS speed. Then we're going to make up for that here with a tack laser. So again, same pros and cons we covered. This is really my solo build. If you're running this anything outside of solos or duos, I would swap the tack laser for a 40 round magazine. Then we're going to run the holographic sight here. This is a really good option. Again, just to stay tactical and realistic, another really good option here would be the VLK 3x optic, which will definitely help you out, keep shots on target. Very good precision sight picture for that one. Then we'll go ahead and just, the last attachment would be the Merc foregrip. Again, same pros and cons. This one's definitely very, very useful on the AK because of the high recoil on this weapon, given that it's 7.62 by 39. So that'll really help keep your shots tighter and help fight that vertical muzzle climb for this weapon. And again, if you're running this outside of solos or duos, you can go ahead and swap out that tack laser for something like the 40 round magazine. And for this one, I'd like to use the Dusk Ripper just because it gives us, again, that black and tan mix. Really nice looking and effective. So that's our AK103. Now you can also go ahead and swap this out and make an AK74M by using the 5.5 rounds. Again, this is mainly for solos. You would only want to use this. Go ahead and put that standard AK-12 type magazine there. And there's our AK-74M using the Warsaw Blueprint. We have that black polymer buttstock on that weapon. Very effective, I guess, for solos only. Anything outside of solos, the 5.45 rounds are just too weak to really be that effective. Another build here, we're just running for a secondary. Again, this is, again, more of a CQC assault rifle build, which would be the G36C. We've covered this quite a bit. We're running a compensator. The shortest barrel, again, assists with the ADS speed and the movement speed. The cons here being the bullet velocity and recoil control, which we'll make up with elsewhere. Running a combat holographic sight, or the EOTech, just because, again, this is close quarters combat. Going to swap out that 100 round CMAG for the 30 round magazine here. And again, we're using the Blueprint option for the Zero Coal, giving us that black and tan mix. This was going to assist with the ADS speed, sprint to fire speed, movement speed, and reload quickness. So it makes this weapon very, very viable. The only con being that you're going from 100 rounds to the 30 round, which is absolutely fine since we're using this close quarters. And then the Merc foregrip, again, just to help with that recoil control and keep our shots on target. And you can swap out the compensator for a suppressor if you really wanted to, depending on what kind of mode you're playing. But the compensator I like mainly in solos just because it'll help with that recoil control a little bit more. However, you will show up on the radar, so just keep that in mind. That's our G36C, or our compact version. Go ahead and back out now, and we'll look at the next one being the DSA-58 OSW. So for this one, again, we've covered this one in length. I just did a Warzone video on it the other day. This weapon received quite a bit of buffs here in the last patch. So again, we're running the tactical suppressor on this. Same pros and cons. You can swap that out for a monolithic suppressor. But since this is really built for close quarters engagement, you could even get away with running a lightweight suppressor. However, I would advise against that just because your most effective range for this is within 20 meters. So you want to kind of take advantage of that damage at range. We're running the short barrel on this weapon. Again, the 13-inch barrel to assist with the ADS speed and the movement speed. The only cons here, bullet velocity and recoil control, which will make up for the recoil control. I like the 4x slip optic. Again, aesthetic. You're able to swap from the 4x to the EOTech or the Combat Corp holographic, which is nice. We're going to run those 30-round magazines of the 7.62 by 51 NATO rounds here. So we're going to increase our magazine capacity by 10. The cons here being the ADS speed and the movement speed. And then again, we're going to run that Ranger foregrip, and you can even swap this out for a Merc foregrip here for the recoil control and hip fire accuracy, since it is a close quarters build of the weapon. The only cons being the aim walking movement speed and the ADS speed for this weapon. So go ahead and do that. It's our DSA 58 OSW. Again, I've made quite a bit of videos on this one. Very nice build. Next up, we'll go ahead and cover our Ash 12. Again, I just did a Warzone video on this yesterday as well. This is a little bit of a different build. This one, you're going to use that Colossal Suppressor, going to assist with the sound suppression, damage at range, and recoil control. The cons being the ADS speed and aim walking steadiness. Going to run that short compact barrel again. Since this is a CQC build, it's going to really help us out with the ADS speed and movement speed overall. Going to run the tack laser, again, just to make this a little bit more snappier since we're using it in close quarters. You could run the VLK Rogue on this, or even something like a Viper red dot sight, which I ran on the build I made yesterday in the Warzone video, or that Cobra in real life. And then we'll skip everything else but the Merc foregrip again to really help fight that recoil, the vertical muzzle climb on this weapon, since it is a 12.7 millimeter or a 50 caliber round. This is again for close quarters combat on this 12.7 by 55 millimeter. So this is a 50 caliber round here for CQC urban combat engagements. This is what this really is designed for. Again, you can swap out this 420 millimeter barrel for the 810 if you really want to go long range. And again, there's a really nice build. And depending on what game mode you're playing in, you can swap out that tack laser for the 30 round magazines here to give you more magazine ammo capacity. I'd say anything outside of solos or duos, you're going to want to up your magazine capacity, most likely to 30 or even 25 depending. But again, that is our Ash 12.7 or our Odin build. And then again, just another MP5 build here is going to be something a little bit different. Again, mainly for solos, I'll use this one. We're going to run that integral suppressor on this for the sound suppression and the bullet velocity. The con here being the ADS speed. Just a standard holographic. The FSS close quarter is going to help us with the ADS speed even more. And the cons just aiming stability. And then we're going to go ahead and swap out the base 9mm Parabellum for the 10mm auto round. So again, turning this into the MP5-10 build. So this is going to give us the damage plus range. The only con being that we're going to have a decreased fire rate as well as recoil control on the weapon, which we're going to make up with the underbarrel with that Merc foregrip for recoil control, hip fire accuracy. Going to help us out in close quarters there. The only con being the ADS speed and the aim walking steadiness. And again, you can swap out using Franken-Smith, and you can use different types of magazines right there. It gives us a nice looking build for the MP5-10. So that is all for today. This is part 2 of the weapon series. I'll keep this one going. I think the focus here is to try and show non-meta weapons and how to use weapons that are really viable, because everybody seems to be using just the same couple weapons. So again, we covered the PKP Petchen Egg. Our secondary here were our close quarters build of a Kilo 141 or an HK433C. We covered the AK-103, also the AK-74M, the G36C, the DSA 58 OSW for the FAL, and then we have a secondary there is our LBOA-C, or our Salient Arms Industries gray rifle, which we covered again in part 1. So I'll link all that below for the part 1 series. And then obviously we just covered the Ash 12 from the Odin as well as the MP5-10. So I'll make a part 3 for this. Again, this is our tactical weapon builds part 2. Try and encourage everybody to use off-meta weapons here. Let me know, guys, what you think down below. What kind of weapons you really like to run in Warzone that are off-meta. And until next time, Buffner Gaming, out.